In this segment, we want to talk about why does domestic violence often lead to murder? And I always say that I'm fortunate to be born a man because women go through a lot. I mean, I'm talking about rape, domestic violence, murder, and it's very heartbreaking because obviously women are the weaker sex physically, and men think that they can just take advantage of them, right? And often this leads to tragedy. And the sad part is that these women are usually killed, abused, or raped by someone who profess to love them. Most times their own husband. So let's take a look at our first case.
Investigators have put together a timeline of how a Clarence man killed his wife, mother, and father on Thursday morning. All because of a note they found in his car.
The note, while difficult to decipher, lays out an apparent schedule.
Erie County Sheriff John Garcia says 43-year-old Erik Bergum killed his wife, 37-year-old Mary Beth Bergum, at their home on Shimmerville Road. He then drove to Ransom Road and fatally shot his mother, 64-year-old Nancy Bergum. Erik then drove to the 10X Shooting Club in Newstead to meet his father, 66-year-old Mark Bergum. Mark didn't know what Erik had just done. The two spent time together shooting at the range before Erik then shot his father and took his own life as well.
It's a crime of passion, and for that to be planned out, we're thinking that morning, and for him to actually shoot at the shooting range with his rifle and have a great grouping from 100 yards lacks that passion, right? And it's so calculating and gives you just chills, you know.
Erie County DA John Flynn says another person at the shooting range is the one who called 911. It's unknown if the same gun was used for every shooting. And then there's the biggest question of all.
We are still trying to figure that out. We are still trying to figure out why someone would kill his wife, his mother, and father.
As investigators continue to look for that closure, many are worried about what's next for Erik and Mary Beth's 4 children. They're staying with a family friend while their other grandfather is on his way to Buffalo. And now the Clarence community is stepping up to help.
So, as you see, this guy just killed his wife, killed his mother, and then drove to his shooting range to kill his father. And fortunately, the kids were spared. Some of them were away at the time. And it's very, very tragic. I mean, I'm trying to decipher what would cause him to want to kill these 3 people, the 3 people that he should love and that should love him in return the most, right? Your wife, the person you profess to love so much. And, he killed her. And your mother, the person who brought you into the world and take care of you as an infant and wiped your butt and loved you and protected you to grow into an adult. And your father also did the same thing. And you turn around and did the ultimate betrayal, murder them. Wow. This guy is totally, totally heartless. So let's take a look at another case.
Domestic situation. Along with her son, she had moved away and filed an order of protection. It's Monday evening. I'm Tyler Lopez.
And I'm Amber Kriska. Paige Blanzy explains how her family now hopes others will be able to escape a domestic situation before it's too late. She joins us live in studio with the details. Paige.
Tyler, Amber, this order of protection shows Ricky Payne wasn't even supposed to be within 300 feet of his wife. Now he's her accused killer.
She was more than a sister. She was like my best friend.
Erik Hall is focusing on picking up the pieces, now raising his twin nieces.
Wasn't a boring day come to my place. You always find something or some way to have you laugh.
His sister, 32-year-old Quadrica Payne, was murdered last week, along with her 8-year-old son, Cale Thornton. Little Cale wanted to be a race car driver when he grew up.
It broke my heart. He could live his full life. He played with his friends that Wednesday, and next day he was gone.
Quadrica's husband, 34-year-old Ricky Payne, is accused of murdering the two. Prosecutors say it happened after an argument over text messages. He allegedly shot and killed Quadrica, then Cale.
Anybody kills a kid in cold blood and shoots him in the head and make him lay down is a monster.
Hall tells me his sister Drika had done everything she could to get away from Ricky. Hall helped her move to Peoria 2 years ago to leave Ricky behind. He showed up in Peoria a year ago. That's when Drika filed an order of protection. That order was from November of last year through November 16th of this year. Ricky was ordered to stay 300 feet away from her, their kids, and the home.
He made a couple threats, but I never thought none of those others, but I didn't know he was going to take it to this extreme.
Hall says Ricky came to Peoria last week, wanting to see their twin daughters, Jeremiah and Germany. A few days later, Quadrica and Cale were dead.
He refused to get help. He felt like he didn't need it.
But not everyone knew what was going on behind closed doors.
She was limited to how much of bad stuff she would tell us.
Only to live a father's worst nightmare.
I couldn't even stand up. And I called my wife, and I couldn't even tell her, couldn't hardly tell her what was going on. And when I did tell her, she almost passed out.
Quadrica's father hopes her story can help other victims of domestic violence.
I hope her story can help too, because it's very, very tragic. So Quadrica she was 32 years old, and she was killed by her estranged husband. She tried to get away from him, so she moved. He found her wherever she moved to a year later. She filed a complaint against him to get a restraining order. But these restraining orders, does it really help you? I don't think so. It's a lot of women that has filed restraining order, and it seemed to actually do the opposite of what it's supposed to do, like keep the guy away, but there's no barrier stopping him. It's just a piece of paper. So if he decides, hey, I'm gonna kill you, he just get a gun and come where you are, and he kills you. So it's a very, very sad situation. And to make this even worse, he went ahead and killed her son. So before she met him, she had a son. And that son at the time of his death was 8 years old. And she had also twin 1-year-old kids with this guy, it's her husband. And he didn't kill the 1-year-olds, it was his kids, but somehow he didn't like her son, which is his stepson. And he killed the little boy. That is, wow, very, very heartbreaking there, that he would go ahead and kill an 8-year-old boy. My thing is that maybe he killed the boy to get away from the crime, meaning he was trying to claim he didn't do it, right? But the boy was a witness. So that means he had to kill the boy because the boy was a witness. Because I don't see how he could hate an 8-year-old boy so much that he would kill him along with his mother. I would think he's really trying to kill the mother. 8-year-old boy was there as a witness, and he killed him because he was a witness. And, 1-year-olds wouldn't be able to, go to court and say, hey, my dad do it. They're too young. So that's probably why he didn't kill them. Not because he loved them, because obviously he couldn't love his kids if he went and killed their mother. So this was very, very, very tragic. Let's check out the next case.
And naming a suspect in the shooting death of Keaira Hudson, a young mother, and a warrant is now out for his arrest. Authorities looking for Adam Bennefield, who up until now was a person of interest in the homicide. Investigators now naming him a suspect. Hudson was killed in her SUV last Wednesday. Take a look at the picture here. It all happened in front of her 3 children. There is a $7,500 reward for information leading to his arrest so he can be questioned. We have all the information.
So her name is Keaira, and she was killed by her husband, Adam, outside her mom's home. And she was killed while her 2 kids were in the backseat of the car. So this guy is very, very callous and has no heart. And this lady actually, Keaira, she posted a video on Facebook of Adam beating her up. So apparently they got into an argument, and he decided to beat her up. But there was a security camera in the home. So she posted a video of the security camera of him beating her up on Facebook. And she was, when she left the house, whenever she left the house, she would wear a bulletproof vest for protection because she knew he was going to kill her. She knew he was going to kill her. And she was on her way to drop off her kids to school, and he killed her. So you try to think like, what else could she have done? And, in a lot of instances, unless you have a lot of money, it's not really much you can do to get away from when somebody's determined to kill you. It's very difficult to get away from that. So let's look at the final case.
Now a woman is dead. A man, possibly a naval criminal investigator, shot and critically hurt. The suspect shot and killed by deputies after allegedly opening fire on them at a separate scene.
We want to show you where all the chaos is unfolding. It started on Tulish Run in the Balmoral community in Humboldt. The suspect was killed a good distance away on the northwest side.
ABC 13's Daniela Hurtado just got to the scene there in Humboldt moments ago. Daniela, what's the latest?
Yeah, we just got to the scene, just finished talking to Sheriff Gonzalez about the latest developments. He confirms one woman is dead here. Her husband was actually the one accused of shooting and killing her, then leaving the scene. He also confirms another man, an NCIS investigator, was also shot here. The sheriff tells us that NCIS agents were out here interviewing the wife about a domestic situation between her and her husband. The husband wasn't home at the time, according to the sheriff, but once they saw a car going up and down the street, the agents started getting skeptical, and that's when the husband rushed into the home and is accused of killing his wife, and his wife was also holding their child. I want to take you to Sky Eye video right now of the scene that we have. Basically what the sheriff is telling us is that, again, all of this is very preliminary. They have those 2 scenes right now. The NCIS investigator was taken to the hospital. He was in serious condition, but as of 10 minutes ago, when I talked to the sheriff on camera, he confirms that man is now in fair condition, so he is doing better. Again, 1 person dead, 1 person at the hospital, and that suspect has been killed, according to the sheriff's office. I want to take you to the sound from the sheriff. Again, we just talked to him about how the situation unfolded. This is what we know at this hour.
The female inside the house, when our units arrived, found her deceased, still grappling or holding on to her infant child. They were able to rescue the child and get him out to safety. The agents ran house to house trying to find some assistance, and a good Samaritan thankfully opened the door, let the agents in, stabilize the situation briefly until an ambulance could get here and transport.
This case is of a military guy. So this guy is a military recruiter. And his wife complained that he abused her, right? Domestic violence. So she reported him. And because he works in the military, the NCIS, who investigates these type of incidents, they were at the house getting her story of what happened. And while that was actually happening, this guy was circling the block. They saw him circling the block, and then he proceeded to run into the house, shot his wife to death, and he also shot the NCIS agent. So this case is very, very, very tragic. It's very tough to see all these stories, and I wanted to talk about a couple of statistics. In a close analysis of 5 cities, about a third of the male killers were known to be a potential threat ahead of the attack. So yeah, a lot of times these women know they're going to be killed. They know it because the perpetrator threatened them. And usually the perpetrator is their husband, father of their kids, a relative. But it's very little they can do to stop it. Let me read one more thing here. It says here, so some 47,000 women and girls worldwide were killed by their intimate partner or other family members in 2020 alone. This means that on average, a woman or girl is killed by someone in her own family every 11 minutes. Where trends can be calculated, they show that the magnitude of such gender-related killings remain largely unchanged. So, this has been happening for a very long time. And why does this keep happening? Why do men, in particularly, women do it too, but I would say in my estimation, 99% of the time, it's the perpetrator is a man. Okay, so why do men think that they can kill and rape and abuse women, basically? In general, men who do that are selfish. And it kind of goes back to some of the things that you see in the Bible. And if you ever go to a Christian wedding ceremony, it happens in other religions too. They say the same thing. They actually say during the ceremony that the man is the head of the household. The man is in charge. Basically, you do what the man says. You understand? So, with that history there, men grew up thinking like they basically own the woman that they marry. Okay? So that if there's an incident and the woman wants to leave, they will not allow them to leave. They rather kill them than allow them to leave. Okay? So they think that women are their possessions. And lastly, I want to ask, like, how can women protect themselves? This is a very tough question. But what women have done is, going to the cops, getting a police report, filing restraining orders and all that. That doesn't work. A lot of times it doesn't work. A lot of times it actually makes the situation worse because now that the man knows the woman is basically done with him because she's getting a restraining order, now he decides to kill her. So it seems to make the situation worse. So what this woman, which one it was? It was Quadrica, 32-year-old woman that was killed with her 8-year-old son. She actually left, didn't tell this guy where she was. But he found her. Usually, he probably found her because she probably was posting stuff on social media. Or maybe one of her family members told him. However he found out, he found her. Okay? And she physically left and tried to get away. And still, she ended up getting killed. I think the best thing to do, and this is not easy. A lot of women that got killed, they don't have the resources. They don't have the money. A lot of times your money, your resources, is all tied up. The man and the woman resources are tied up together. So if she's tried to leave, she doesn't have the money to leave. You need money to start your life over. If you're moving to another state, you need money to move. You need money to live until you get a job. It's a lot. Now if you have the family support and if you have the money, you could disappear. You can. So for the women that could disappear and get away from these men, they're the lucky ones. But most women, they don't have that luxury. They try their best to work it out. And when it's too much, I saw the video of Keaira was beaten up, was killed by Adam, right? And I saw the video of him beating her up. I didn't show that video because it was pretty graphic. And that was very heartbreaking. It was very, very sad to see a man using his fist to beat a woman. A woman is weaker than a man. We all know it. Physically, a woman, they're no match for the strength of a man. So there's not much they can do. But I feel like a lot of these men were not raised to respect women in the first place. I think if you're raised to respect women, and if in these marriages they won't insist that the men are the head of the household and all this other nonsense, I think in a marriage both parties are equal. The man and the woman are equal. They both discuss, this is what we're gonna do, and you discuss it together. It's not the man's word and what he say goes and all that. That's the wrong mentality. And I don't see how we can break out of that mentality because it's embedded in religion, and obviously religion is a very topic that nobody even wants to touch. So for women, they have very few options. Very few. I wish men would stop being cowards, stop abusing women, raping them, and treating them like they're garbage. Women are actually the best thing that ever happened to men and to this world. Okay? They're the ones who do everything for us. They're the ones who brought us into the world. I love my mother to death. I love her. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love my wife. I would never, ever hurt any of them. It doesn't matter what happened. If my wife was to get a divorce from me, I'll be heartbroken. I'll be hurt. But I'm not going to go kill her. So I wish men would stand up and fight for women. Fight for them. Okay? Not beat them up. Protect them.